We are very glad you were able to join us today, and we are excited to talk about a few projects that Sofia has worked on with the City of Phoenix Water Services Department. Today, we want to talk about this work in the context of larger conservation program and policy development in Phoenix. Here, we are dedicated to reducing barriers to participation in the culture of conservation. And we believe that conservation is most effective when the community buddy. We're doing our jobs well when we are creating programs, policies, and solutions that increase participation in water conservation. In this presentation, we will talk about a specific goal to increase the community's engagement with the water conservation solution of low water use desert adapted landscaping, otherwise known as xeriscaping.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Sofia Lomeli, and I'm currently in my final month of the undergraduate landscape architecture program at Arizona State University. And as an Arizona native, I was born and raised in northern Arizona. My passion for water conservation came naturally. The work I have done with Emilie and the Water Services Department that we are talking about today has inspired me to go into the public sector in the future after graduation.
Hi, I'm Emilie. I'm a water resource specialist in the Water Conservation Office of the City of Phoenix Water Services Department. My work focuses on creating community programs and policies that support voluntary reduction of water usage. My mission is to make efficient and responsible water use an easier choice for everyone. And Paul is here with us today, but we didn't make him an intro slide, but thank you, Paul. Paul Coseo is the faculty sponsor for this project. So who are we? We're going to introduce Water Services Department and then ASU. The City of Phoenix Water Services Department is a public water utility that serves the City of Phoenix and some neighboring communities. We provide clean, safe, and reliable drinking water and wastewater services. Additionally, we are a steward of water resources. As a provider of water, we are constantly thinking about water availability. Planning and stewardship are of equal importance in our work at the Water Department. We must first ensure that there's water available before we can treat and deliver it to the community. In Phoenix, we also have a culture of conservation. Our goal in the Water Conservation Office is to promote efficient and responsible water use by reducing barriers and empowering customers to participate. Part of this effort is an ever-evolving conversation and relationship with our community. To make our message as clear as possible, we have recently launched a new effort with an even clearer call to action: Save Water. You can visit phoenix.gov/savewater to view the results of the project that we will discuss today, and you can check back often to the Save Water Hub to stay up to date on Phoenix's many water conservation solutions.
All right, and I'll talk a little bit about Project Cities. So ASU Project Cities is part of the Sustainability Cities Network within the Global Institute of Sustainability and Innovation. Project Cities is a collaborative effort helping cities explore and apply sustainability with ASU students, such as myself, who are learning principles within their respective fields. This collaboration works when a city such as the City of Phoenix will partner with the program for at least 1 year to identify projects that can be used as sustainability learning experiences for students. City stakeholders, students, and ASU faculty co-create ideas, options, and strategies that point to a more balanced social, ecological, and economic future. And our partnership would not have been possible without them.
So, as you may have heard, there is a drought. Droughts come and go, especially in the southwestern US, but ours is one of the longest and most serious droughts in recent history. In June 2022, the director of the department declared a stage 1 water alert for Phoenix Water customers and activated the city's drought management plan. A stage 1 water alert occurs when an insufficient supply of water appears likely due to water system or supply limitations. As a result of the declaration, the city began an intensive public education and information program to assist all customers in understanding the state of the emergency and the need for voluntary conservation. Given this charge, our teams focus on reducing barriers to conservation and increasing awareness about solutions received even greater support. One area of particular focus is the voluntary reduction of water use in ways that will have minimal impacts on lifestyles. We focus on outdoor water use because there's a great capacity to save. For Phoenix Water customers, it is estimated that 55% of residential water use is outdoors. 51% of the department's total water deliveries go to single-family homes or typical residential settings. So 55% of 51% tells us that 28% of the department's deliveries are used to maintain residential landscapes. In terms of outdoor water use, we like to focus on two things: plant choice and watering behavior. Before the 2022 declaration, though, Phoenix began to expand its foundation of existing conservation programs. In 2019, Mayor Thelda Williams formed an ad hoc committee to focus on water conservation in the Phoenix City Council. There were various subcommittees, but the one of interest for our presentation today was focused on landscaping requirements and guidelines. The subcommittee was charged with answering the question, what can property owners do to use water efficiently and responsibly outdoors? Some possible solutions were green stormwater infrastructure, efficient irrigation, and xeriscape. A recommendation emerged to satisfy the goals of reducing residential water use and simultaneously empowering residents to participate in the solution. This solution was to develop easy-to-use and clearly presented residential xeriscape plans. Given the goal of creating the xeriscape plans, it was clear that partnering with ASU would match our project with the best and brightest in Phoenix. ASU Project Cities facilitated and helped us to form a partnership with the student and faculty team in the design school. Later, Paul Coseo would also join the project.
Our collaboration with the City of Phoenix and Project Cities started in the spring of 2023, thanks to Dr. Ching-Wen Chang, the program head of the ASU Landscape Architecture program at the time. The purpose of the partnership was to collaboratively design the proposed xeriscape plans, which were intended to introduce residents to ecologically beneficial yard designs with an emphasis on desert-adapted and native plants. Our target audience were homes with grass, and we wanted to inform residents on the water consumption associated with grass compared to more xeriscape-friendly alternatives. The project had the general objective to refine the learning experience for our very specific audience by curating information from existing resources and applying that information to a more introductory guide. We also intended to confront barriers of choice paralysis, time investment, and plant availability. The first step in the process of making the xeriscape residential plans was to choose which existing and accessible resources to curate from. We ended up primarily using these three very wonderful and very informational resources that may be too overwhelming for the average resident to use on their own. These resources include important information about proper desert irrigation habits, xeriscape design, and ideal native and desert adapted plants. The following steps that informed our design process for the xeriscape plans was reviewing average Phoenix lot sizes provided by the City of Phoenix's Planning and Development Department. We also went on neighborhood driving surveys to view existing front yards and see what people were already doing and what people seemed to prefer. In addition to that, we visited nurseries to see what native and desert adapted plants were available for the public to purchase. and this gave us our biggest takeaway. So from visiting wholesale nurseries, we found out that there was a very limited choice and quantity of native and desert adapted plants available to purchase for Phoenix residents. The Desert Botanical Garden plant sale was the only place where Phoenix residents could purchase a large variety of native and desert adapted plants that were within this city of Phoenix limits. But unfortunately, the Desert Botanical Garden only hosts this sale twice a year. And this severely impacted the plant selection we incorporated into the final designs. This observation also influenced us to include 2 different plant lists for every design, one for recommended plants and another for alternative plants if they were unable to find the ones in the recommended plant list. We also chose the plants that we knew residents would be able to find easily. Plants that were recommended by the landscape plants for the desert, for Arizona Desert Resource, and were also observed, and that were also observed for sale at the Desert Botanical Garden plant sale, were considered for inclusion in the designs. The combination of these methods informed 3 xeriscape plans, each equipped with different features and sizes, Plan 1 being the smallest and more contemporary. Plan 2 being slightly larger and having a focus on pollinators. And lastly, Plan 3, which is the largest and has the most shade coverage. The yard designs were just one component of the series of informational bifolds, which were then edited by the City of Phoenix before being published and made available to the public. We have included the QR code for you guys to view the current versions of the bifolds if you are interested in doing so. So here's a very brief overview of the newly published designs, starting with Plan 1, which is contemporary and balanced. One of the benefits of this design was the incorporation of mulch into the xeriscape nature of the yard. The plant palette was updated to include a desert willow, Sonoran slipper plant, beavertail prickly pear, Perry's agave, desert spoon, and wildflowers as well. Plan 2, which we named pollinator promoting, was given a berm under the tree and offers many benefits to pollinators, such as habitat and nectar. While we titled this one Pollinator Promoting Plan, the Promoting Plan, the secret is that they actually all are, as each plant in every plan will have a nectar or food source it produces annually or at some point within its life cycle. The plants that are included in this plan are the Arizona yellow bells, creosote, desert milkweed, wildflowers, Perry's agave, Mullenbergia rigens, a native bunch grass, Palo Brea, Baja fairy duster, and wolfberry bush. Design 3, flowing and floral, was also given berms under the trees and includes velvet mesquite, kidneywood, tuberosa, Chihuahuan sage, turpentine bush, feathered dahlia, desert milkweed, violet silverleaf, and Perry's agave. This is the alternative plant list that is equipped on the back of each of the xeriscape design bifolds. Almost every plant in the alternative plant list is native to the Sonoran Desert, and the majority were chosen based on their minimal thorn count that some people may prefer, and affordability as well.
So we know that plant choice alone is not enough to save water, and real water savings occur when actual irrigation behavior is efficient. But in theory, if these designs were watered efficiently, we would see major water savings. In the context of a yard that has been converted from grass to xeriscape, Plan 1, the smallest yard, also with the fewest plants, would use the least water. At a rate of 9.3 gallons of water per square foot, over 22,000 gallons of water would be saved in a year through the conversion. Plan 2 would save over 40,000 gallons in 1 year. Plan 3, the largest yard, would save over 70,000 gallons in 1 year. The grass column on the right is shown to provide water use estimates for the large yard, if it was still covered in grass. In 25 years, if the large plan was converted from grass to xeriscape and watered efficiently, over 5.5 acre-feet of water would be conserved. And for clarity, that large plan had a plantable area of 1,150 square feet. Once the drafts were received, we reconciled the feedback that was collected at the showcase event as well. This project was identified because of an assembled group of representatives who interpreted a baseline understanding of community needs in the context of existing staff capabilities. A partnership was formed to complete the project. As a result of this effort, we have gotten a lot of positive feedback. Residents are excited to engage with the solution. They appreciate the quality of the designs and are excited by the new ideas to get help and get creative in their yards. But deeper interests remain unaddressed. A possible solution in our toolkit is green stormwater infrastructure. It was mentioned in the 2019 ad hoc committee development process. To us, it seemed like the natural sequel to this project. In reviewing the possible outdoor conservation solutions, we asked, now that you've chosen water-saving plants, what if you could also choose a yard that helped to save water just because of the way that it was designed? We added berms and basins to the original resources in anticipation of eventually pursuing another project to address educational gaps in passive rainwater harvesting. Thankfully, Sofia was up to the challenge. Previously, Phoenix's collection of educational materials has done little to confront that topic. But we know that the community is interested in a wide range of water conservation solutions. The number of times we've been compared to Tucson is too many to count. Folks want us to get on board. And while we might not ever get on Tucson's level, we have to start somewhere. So we thought this topic was important to our community, but we wanted to ask first this time. We wanted to develop our solution in the context of the community's wants and needs. We asked, how do residents use their yards? Where does rainwater harvesting fit into their lifestyles? How can yard designs create water savings passively? The project design was built around the fact that we had an idea about an educational gap, not a certainty. We wanted to ask the community about our theory and find out how to address their needs. Sofia will share more about the methods of her thesis, but generally, we spent the first semester, fall 2023, doing stakeholder surveying. The groups that we worked with included homeowners associations who provided their CCNRs for review. We also conducted expert interviews and ran a community survey.
Okay, I will now go into the details of our community survey. I'll start with a quick survey overview. So the final version of our survey was created in a survey making program called Qualtrics. The survey is accessible primarily through a QR code. The main method of distribution was the City of Phoenix's water bill, but it also included ASU and Phoenix newsletters, City of Phoenix's social media, and Phoenix community events. The period of analysis lasted from November 17th, when the survey first went live, up until January 31st, 2024. So the community survey was approved by IRB, just as all ASU surveys must be approved with. It's available in English and Spanish. And since we went through the IRB process, which is internal review board, all responses are anonymous. And the questions were segmented into 4 different categories, which included background, so asking demographic questions, facts about my yard, which explored how people describe their yards, irrigation behavior, so exploring how people irrigate their yards, my landscape preferences, which is what do people actually prefer to have in their yards, and yeah. So we ended up receiving over 200 responses by the time we had to review our data. But the results that informed the designs the most came from these 4 questions. One of these first questions was about rainwater behavior. We looked at rainwater behavior to see what occurred in people's yards during rain events, such as rapid runoff, nuisance flooding, and ideal absorption in yards identified to be predisposed to effective rainwater harvesting. And the top 3 responses we received were my yard absorbs the water, so ideal rainwater harvesting conditions. Excess water runs off my property into the street, and water pools in my yard. So there being some infiltration issues. The second question we asked was for residents' attitudes and interest in experiencing wildlife visitation. So the top 2 responses we got were fairly positive. So people either already saw wildlife and wanted to continue to see them, or if people did not see them as often, they would have liked to see them more. And this excludes, so this question had an open response option, and many people let us know that they really wanted us to get rid of the pigeons. So everything except the pigeons. And then the third question we took into consideration for the designs was the way residents interacted with their yards, and so what they used their front yards for. And of course, the majority of people stated that they don't use it. And for the few that did use it, it was for relaxing or sitting on the porch, or for simply having it as a space to park their car. And then finally, the fourth question that influenced our designs was seeing what residents would choose to reduce the water they use outdoors if they were given multiple options to do so. So our top responses from people were that they would reduce water by adding rainwater harvesting features, or repair or adjust existing irrigation that they already had, or by installing desert plants. Some of the other options that we offered people to answer with included lawn removal, ornamental water feature removal, the removal of water-thirsty plants, and reducing irrigation frequency. The next method that I'll talk about are the interview details. So we ended up interviewing 10 experts within their fields, both in the public sector and private sector. For the 10 expert interviews we conducted, each consisted of 11 questions about their professional experience, perspective from their field, and experiences with residents, all within the context of water conservation, passive rainwater harvesting, desert landscapes, and creating community-based solutions, while also asking supplemental questions when applicable. And the interviews were conducted either through Zoom or in person at City Hall. So here's some of the responses that we got once we finished conducting our interviews. Even professionals said that native plants were not widely available, and those that were available did not acclimate well once planted into the ground. Some other very important and influential responses we received was to consider proximity to the floodplain for neighborhoods and homes, and also to consider when streets were built, since the citywide modern drainage standards that we know today were applied in the early 1970s. And another thing that many experts said through their experience was that people don't know where to start when converting their yards to be more xeriscape friendly. And they also expressed the importance of biodiversity and the importance of partnerships within the city of Phoenix and outside of the city of Phoenix. So now I'll have Emilie talk about interpreting results.
So when we talk about rainwater harvesting, there are many solutions on a bigger spectrum. To stay relevant to our community and to honor Phoenix's comfort levels with the topic, as we're just starting out, we did choose to put some guardrails on our scope. The feedback and our own capabilities combined led us to choose to focus on passive rainwater harvesting. Rain barrels are not really a tool for beginners, as they require maintenance and a commitment to management. We also learned that rain barrels would likely not be approved for use in the front yards of homes and HOA communities. Passive rainwater harvesting that utilizes low-impact earthworks and property modifications seemed like the best niche for us to work in. We also limited ourselves to pursuing design choices that would not require a permit. We believe that most people don't want to pull a permit, so we wanted to create designs that could work within those contexts. We learned a lot from this year of work, and Sofia has offered many recommendations, but we want to move slowly and steadily in this process. In order to do this, we want to start by filling one gap quickly, and then continue working on creating more educational products in the long term. The first product we will create will be a guide to rainwater adaptations. These guides will help homeowners to preserve an existing landscape, so they don't have to buy any new plants. It would include moderate modifications and focus on low impact features. We think that this option will have the lowest cost, lowest labor requirements, and the biggest potential for participation. And Sofia is going to share some more about one of these designs.
All right. So the intention of adding rainwater harvesting elements, like Emilie said, was to primarily reduce supplemental irrigation in the landscape without doing a full conversion. And the adaptations for the existing xeriscape designs that we made will have rainwater harvesting features that can help do one of three things, which will be to slow water runoff to reduce debris from leaving a property, control the amount of water entering or exiting a property, and to help maximize water infiltration into the soil. And so I'll demonstrate how this can be done with specific features in the second yard design we created. So here's the current design for yard 2 before adding rainwater harvesting adaptations. I do want to mention again that there was a berm added to this specific design, and every addition that was made was meant to make the berm as functional as possible and to use what was already in the yard. We felt that Yard Design 2 would be a great way to demonstrate ways rainwater harvesting can specifically help maximize rainwater infiltration with minimal changes to the yard itself. We chose adding a rain chain, bioswale, raised pathway, all to maximize the function of the existing berm in the design without, again, being overly intensive or expensive. So this is yard 2 after applying rainwater harvesting adaptations. The sloped porch of the existing design allows the rainwater to run off into the basin, and the rain chain, or not the basin, the bioswale, and the rain chain on the side of the home allows for roof runoff to be directed towards the berm and helps irrigate the tree and this also includes a diagram of how the rest of the water moves on the site. And the raised path also helps redirect water to existing vegetation. So here's a bit more as to why of these rainwater harvesting features were included in the new adaptation. So the bioswale was chosen for the way that it slows rainwater while capturing it simultaneously. And because there's no sizing formulas needed to make one um, compared to making or sizing a basin. And we also chose to use a rain chain in this design to help redirect roof runoff to the landscape below without needing to install gutters. And so while it may not be as effective as gutters, it's still a better solution than not having any at all. And of course, the existing berm helps slow rainwater and allows it to percolate into the soil. And it uses existing soil from the yard that could have been dug up from the bio to create the bioswale. So there wouldn't be the need to purchase more soil. You're using everything that you already have. And as for the raised pathway, it also, like I mentioned before, redirects water and is an inexpensive yet effective way to help water infiltrate into the soil much easier.
So what is next for Phoenix? Our short-term goal is to produce the rainwater adaptations resources that will complement our existing desert landscapes in your front yard brochures. Going forward, we will continue to review Sofia's recommendations, learn from the community's feedback, engage with professionals like yourselves, and create solutions that are welcomed, actionable, and relevant for Phoenix Water customers. We look forward to your questions.